Our planet, a tapestry of extraordinary life, is facing unprecedented challenges. For generations, we have strived to understand and protect the intricate web of existence that surrounds us. But seeing the full picture, the grand connections between species and their environments, has always been a monumental task. Now, however, we have a remarkable new lens through which to view our world, a tool that is quietly revolutionizing our ability to protect the planet's most vulnerable inhabitants. This is the world of Geographic Information Systems, or GIS. GIS is far more than just digital map-making. It is a powerful system for capturing, analyzing, and visualizing the spatial patterns of life. It allows conservationists to see the world as animals do, a landscape of opportunities and obstacles, of safe havens and hidden dangers. By layering vast amounts of environmental data, we can begin to answer critical questions about where species live, why they live there, and how we can best protect them from the pressures of a changing world. It is a game changer, offering hope in the face of immense biodiversity loss. In our journey today, we will explore 4 key ways in which this extraordinary technology is being applied on the front lines of conservation. We will venture into the digital realm to witness how scientists model the perfect habitats for elusive creatures, how they map the great migration routes that are the lifeblood of entire ecosystems, how they identify and mitigate the flashpoints of conflict between humans and wildlife, and finally, how they predict the future homes for species in a world reshaped by our own actions. For any species to thrive, it requires a precise combination of conditions: a place to find food, to seek shelter, to raise its young. But how can we identify these perfect homes, these sanctuaries, across vast and often inaccessible landscapes? The answer lies in building a digital replica of their world, a process known as habitat suitability modeling. It begins with data, layers upon layers of geographic information, each one a vital clue to what makes a habitat ideal. We start with the very foundation of the land itself, its elevation and its slope, captured with astonishing precision by satellites orbiting high above the Earth. Upon this foundation, we overlay the rich mosaic of the environment. We add the intricate network of rivers and streams, the life-giving sources of water that dictate so much of animal behavior. We map the different types of land cover, the dense forests, the open grasslands, the rocky outcrops, each offering a different set of resources and risks. Every piece of information, from the average temperature to the seasonal rainfall, is added to our growing digital ecosystem. This is the world, not as we see it, but as a particular animal might perceive it, a complex map of survival. With these layers assembled, the true power of GIS is unleashed. Using sophisticated tools like raster overlay analysis, the system can weigh the importance of each factor. For a mountain goat, steep, rocky terrain might be a positive attribute, offering escape from predators. For a marsh bird, proximity to wetlands is paramount. The GIS calculates a suitability score for every single point on the map, transforming a complex dataset into a clear, visual guide. The most suitable areas glow brightly, revealing the heartlands where a species is most likely to flourish. This is no longer a matter of guesswork. Scientists can now introduce the known locations of a species and use advanced machine learning algorithms to refine these models further. The system learns, identifying subtle patterns and relationships that might escape human observation. The result is a powerful predictive map, an essential tool for conservation. It guides decisions on where to establish new protected areas, where to focus anti-poaching patrols, and where to reintroduce species, giving them the very best chance of reclaiming their ancestral homes. Life on Earth is in constant motion. For millennia, animals have followed ancient paths of migration, epic journeys driven by the rhythm of the seasons, the search for food, or the quest for a mate. These corridors are the arteries of our planet's ecosystems, ensuring genetic diversity and resilience. But in our modern world, these vital pathways are increasingly fragmented and broken by roads, fences, cities, and farms. To protect these journeys, we must first see them, and GIS provides the means to map these invisible highways of the animal kingdom. The process begins by mapping the known world of the animal. We identify the core habitats, the protected national parks and reserves that act as safe havens, the destinations and starting points of their travels. Then we must map the obstacles, Using satellite imagery and infrastructure data, every road, every railway line, every settlement is plotted as a potential barrier. Each of these features represents a risk, a potential end to a vital journey. The GIS doesn't just see a line on a map, it understands it as a wall, a point of friction in the landscape. Here, a remarkable tool called least cost path analysis comes into play. Imagine an animal standing at the edge of one protected area, needing to reach another. The GIS calculates the cost of moving across every single part of the landscape. Traversing open, natural habitat has a low cost. Crossing a busy highway or navigating through a dense urban area has a very high cost. The system then computes the path of least resistance, the route that minimizes energy expenditure and exposure to danger. It reveals the most likely corridor the animal would naturally choose. By running thousands of these simulations, conservationists can identify the most critical wildlife corridors. These maps are not merely academic exercises, they are blueprints for action. They highlight precisely where a wildlife overpass could bridge a deadly highway, or where a tract of private land could be purchased to connect two fragmented forests. By designing and protecting these corridors, we are not just saving individual animals, we are mending the broken connections of the natural world, allowing life's ancient and essential journeys to continue. As the human population expands, our world increasingly overlaps with the world of wildlife. We build our homes and grow our crops on lands that were once the undisputed territory of elephants, tigers, and wolves. This inevitable proximity creates a frontier of conflict, a zone where the needs of people and the needs of animals clash, often with tragic consequences for both. Understanding the geography of this conflict is the first and most crucial step towards finding peaceful solutions, and GIS is our most powerful instrument for seeing these invisible front lines. The analysis begins by mapping the two sides of the story. On one hand, we map human activity, the locations of villages, the boundaries of farms, the paths people walk to collect water or firewood. This data is often gathered through detailed surveys and increasingly through participatory GIS, where local communities themselves help to map their world, adding an invaluable layer of on-the-ground knowledge. On the other hand, we map the wildlife. Using data from GPS collars, camera traps and track surveys, we plot the movements and territories of the animals. When these two worlds are overlaid in a GIS, the potential for conflict becomes starkly clear. We can see precisely where an elephant's migration route intersects with a field of maize, or where a leopard's hunting ground overlaps with a village where livestock is kept. But GIS allows us to go deeper than just identifying overlaps. By analyzing the timing and frequency of incidents, a crop raid, a livestock predation, we can move from simply knowing where conflict happens to understanding why it happens. This leads to the use of powerful spatial statistics, such as hotspot analysis. This technique identifies statistically significant clusters of conflict incidents, revealing the epicenters of the problem. A map that once showed scattered points of conflict is transformed, with glowing red hotspots highlighting the areas in most urgent need of intervention. These insights allow conservation managers to deploy resources with surgical precision, perhaps by constructing elephant-proof fences around specific agricultural areas, or by launching community-based guard programs in the most vulnerable villages, fostering a future of coexistence rather than conflict. In a world being rapidly reshaped by a changing climate, a fundamental question for conservation is no longer just where do species live now, but where will they be able to live in the future? To answer this, scientists turn to one of the most predictive applications of GIS, species distribution modeling, or SDM. This remarkable technique acts as a kind of ecological detective, using clues from the present to forecast the geography of life in the decades to come. It's really an attempt to draw a map of a world that does not yet exist. The investigation starts with what we know for certain, the precise locations where a species has been observed. These are the presence points, a collection of geographic coordinates gathered from museum records, scientific surveys, and even citizen science observations. Each point is a factual statement. At this exact spot, under a specific set of environmental conditions, this species was able to survive. These points form the empirical bedrock upon which the entire model is built, a scattered constellation of known existence across the landscape. Next, the GIS gathers a vast suite of environmental variables for the entire study area. These are the potential explanatory factors: temperature ranges, rainfall patterns, soil types, vegetation cover, distance to water, dozens of layers that describe the climate and landscape in minute detail. The model's task is to find the statistical relationship between the presence points and these environmental layers. It seeks to define the unique environmental signature or niche of the species. What specific combination of conditions does this creature favor? Powerful algorithms, such as the widely used maxent maximum entropy tool, often run within statistical software like R that integrates seamlessly with GIS, perform this complex task. Maxent takes the presence points and the environmental layers and produces a probability map. It predicts the likelihood of finding the species in every single location across the map, even in places that have never been surveyed. Areas that closely match the environmental signature of the known locations are shown as highly suitable, while areas that do not are shown as unsuitable, painting a complete picture of the species' potential distribution. This provides an invaluable baseline for understanding its current range. We have journeyed through the digital world to see how a new way of looking is transforming our ability to protect the natural one. From defining the perfect sanctuary for a single species to mapping the epic migrations that connect continents, GIS is providing clarity in a world of overwhelming complexity. It allows us to move beyond reaction and into proactive, intelligent conservation. By understanding the intricate spatial relationships that govern life, we can make smarter, more effective, data-driven decisions that give wildlife and wild places a fighting chance. The power of this technology lies not in the software itself, but in the hands of the dedicated scientists, rangers, and community leaders who use it to defend biodiversity. It empowers them to pinpoint where a fence will do the most good, where a corridor will save a migration, and where a conversation with a local community can prevent a conflict. GIS is the tool that translates vast quantities of data into targeted on-the-ground action, turning information into protection and hope into a tangible strategy for the future of life on our planet. The challenges facing our planet's biodiversity are immense, but so too is our capacity for ingenuity and compassion. The work we have seen today is a testament to that. We encourage you to learn more about the conservation organizations utilizing these incredible tools. Support their efforts, whether through donations, volunteering, or by simply spreading awareness. For in the end, the survival of these magnificent species and the health of our shared planet depends not only on technology, but on our collective will to act.